Hello everyone, welcome back. So till now we have discussed memory level caching, database level caching, server level caching, in which we understood what is service level caching and what is distributed caching. Now in this session we will discuss more about client level caching and CDN level caching. The problem that we are solving over here is our website became popular and the load increased. So latency also increases. To reduce the latency and to increase the user experience, we introduced caching. We understood how caching works at the service level and at the distributed level on the backend. Also, we got introduced to the concept of DB level caching. Now, to further reduce the latency, we can incorporate caching at the mobile browser, mobile application level, or the browser level. So, we can carefully put the data that is static over time in the mobile browser cache so that when a user types in your website name and it loads quickly, the static content that does not change over time, like images, banners, those things do not change very frequently. Those things can be stored in the browser cache or the mobile application cache. Also, some user details, some basic details can be stored in the mobile application cache, so that whenever a user goes to your website, the loading time does not have to be more. This way we will increase the user experience. We will decrease the latency. Similarly, let's say our application became more famous and users from around the globe are trying to access your application or browser. So whenever they try to type in the website name, the amount of time taken by server or website to load the content increases directly proportional to the distance. So let's say my website is hosted somewhere in the country in India, but there are certain users in the US. They are loading the they are trying to access the website. The amount of time taken by the browser in US increases because the distance between India and US is more. So to solve this problem, the problem is user experience gets bad because latency is high. You don't want user to feel that this website is slow. So in that case, what happens is you take the help of CDNs. CDNs are short abbreviation for content delivery network. What does it mean is there are certain CDNs throughout the globe which keeps the content, static content, strategically close to the users. So let's say my user is in US and I am taking the help of CDN. So the CDN has one server near to the user somewhere in the US. And while I hosted my application in India, I took the help of CDN and put some static content over the CDN in US. So this benefits the user in the US because when user types in your uh, website name or opens the mobile application, the very first thing application loads is it talks to the CDN. Now CDN has some static content which gets returned immediately and the latency for loading your website decreases. We will discuss more about how CDN works. Now what happens is, as discussed, the browser or the mobile application have the IP address of the CDN. Now, how do they have it? We have coded it. So whenever our dashboard of the application loads, it should first go to the CDN server, fetch the content, and load it. And as developers or as engineers, how do we update CDN is we have written some application which pushes the content to the CDN server. Now, as discussed, CDN server is network of servers. When we push one content to one of the server, that content is pushed throughout all the network so that any user residing in one part of the world can access to the CDN server. So as in our example, our user is in US and he tries to access the mobile application. It gets redirected to the CDN closest to him. So let's say CDN server US2 is the closest location to him. So it gets redirected to the US server 2, gets the content as fast as it can. Similarly, another user is in another part of US and in the CDN network, one of the server is close to him, that is US1. So this server will serve the static content to the that particular user. Now this is how CDN works. So to repeat, the CDN server gets updated with the static content that has to be distributed whenever a mobile application loads. So what CDN server does is it distributes the content throughout its network so that any user in any part of the globe tries to access your applications, get the content as soon as possible. So implementing CDN provided us lots of benefits. The first one is it reduces the latency. Now the with speed with which your website loads increases. Now another benefit it provided you is it decreased the load on the server. Now your load on the server is decreased because less number of requests are going to your server, which leads to stability in your server, which leads to more uptime, and ultimately it provides better security. Now we will discuss about security more in a detailed video, but these are the benefits that CDN provides. Now there are two ways where we can update our CDN with the content that we want to show. First one is push CDN. Second one is pull CDN. Push CDN is whenever a new change is required, the teams that are working on the application, they push those changes to the CDN server and then CDN server replicates them to throughout the network. And second option is pull CDN, where CDN lazily pulls the content from the applications. It fetches and then updates the network. So till now we have discussed how CDN helps us reduce the load on our server, and along with that it brings more benefits such as more uptime to the server, better security. And to repeat what CDN is, it's a content delivery network and it is a system of servers located in different part of the world to provide content. These servers work together to provide content in a faster way. That is all for this session. Next, we will discuss how we can make our system faster. Now, just to repeat, we started with just client and server model, broken the system and scaled our database. We scaled our servers. We got introduced to the load balancer, DNS, CDN, cache. Now going forward, we will try to solve more problems, such as how to handle more requests. So let's say you are currently serving 1,000 transactions per second. You are currently expecting 1,000 requests per second. But going forward, you are expecting it could be more than 5,000 requests per second. Then how will you scale your system so that users do not get disappointed because their requests are missing. So we will discuss more about these in our upcoming video. Thank you for watching.